G'day guys, how's it going? Welcome back, of course, to the Time Bomb channel. I hope all is good in your part of the world. Watch review of the BULOVA Lunar Pilot, and that is reference 96K111. And the Lunar Pilots have certainly received a lot of attention over the last couple of years. This is the more recent, smaller version of the watches. And in hand, I can really see why they've received so much attention. I think I veered away from them when they got so hyped, because I just thought, nah, it's another one of these video hypes. But actually, in hand, my perception has changed, and I can tell you right off the bat, it's a really solid offering. If you're interested in this particular watch, head over to First Class Watches here in the UK. They've lent this one into the channel for review. And if you tell them that you've come from the Time Bomb channel, no doubt they will do their best to help you with a best price offer. Let me just zoom in and glove up. All right, and there is our watch a little bit up closer. And as I say, really impressed. I'd not seen one of these newer ones in hand or in store. But as I say, super impressed. Very clean, very well finished. And all in all, I say, an impressive watch, and I can kind of understand a little bit now why they were so hyped a while back. I'm not going to lecture you or Wikipedia you on all the which watch was worn on the moon and which wasn't and blah blah. I think we should just kick off with the key specs. These newer ones then come in at 43.5 mils cross, north to south. They're about 50 mils. You get a slight overhang with the end links there, but they are female pretty much. So again, it's a fairly accurate fit. It's 13.5 mils deep. It sits on 20 mil lugs, and on this unsized bracelet, it weighs in around 143 grams. Let me just throw it on wrist so I can show you what it looks like. So my wrist, for reference, is 7.25 inch. I think the specs are ideal, but I do get that for some people this may be a little weighty, and sadly it's got those butterflies on the bottom, which I don't particularly like. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, so 7.25 inch my wrist, and as you can see, they do sit large and they do sit proud and they do weigh. However, I think they're a bit slimmer than people anticipate. The side profile, and yeah, if you're gonna, I don't see the problem with the size. I think the 45s, yes, were huge and probably unwearable by a lot of people, but I think in this smaller size, they've hit they smashed it. Really very good. Sadly though, it only comes with 50 meters worth of watery goodness. And yeah, I get it, up in space, there isn't that much water. But there is down here, and I think that's where most of us are going to be wearing this particular watch. So the 50 meters kind of makes it a little bit of a tough wearer, Yeah, keep it well away from the swimming pool and, other bits and pieces. There is a big chunk of sapphire, which is catching quite a lot of light up the top. And you can just see how it sits so proud above that stainless steel. It's not really a bezel, is it? It's kind of like a holding device for that sapphire. It's huge and fantastic. I really love it. And then, of course, onto where the watch just excels, and that is the dial. Let me just zoom in a smidgen more. Yeah, fantastic. It's superb. Yes, it's busy, but I think it's supposed to be busy, and it does busy very well indeed. Subdials, I think, in comparison or in rate, if you consider the ratio to the rest of the dial, they are quite small. Chronographs, more other chronographs on the market, they have very big subdials, and they eat into a lot of that dial real estate. These are quite small. Notice again, of course, that the two top dials, you've got your digits outside, whereas the lower one, the digits are on the inside. The minute track, as you can see, it sort of fell off the edge of the dial, and has created its own channel. But the upside to that, of course, is then you get multiple layers, and then, as I say, it just sort of, there's that huge step up, almost creating a false rehort in there between the minute track and the tacky scale. So what a really interesting way of doing things. I just think, yeah, contrasts fantastically. The dial as well, I mean, you've got pretty much black, white, and there's an element of silver on the framing of the hour hands, hour markers, etc. So as a consequence, it makes it ridiculously legible. It's so crisp and clear. As I say, very, very well executed. The crown, brilliant, absolutely love it. It's humongous for the size of the watch. It's so oversized, and as a consequence, it's brilliantly, it's easy to operate. I mean, just fantastic. It's a push-pull, of course, perhaps as you would expect. And again, that's very, very soft and smooth engagement there. But quite surprisingly, and this bit I don't get, is there's a ghost date movement in there on that first click. So I'm guessing they've just left it. They brought it over from the other version, which had the dates. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. The chrono action, of course, is something that you will want to see. It is exemplary. I mean, again, take note of the pushers. I mean, they're huge, great angles of metal on the side here. You don't need to listen to me. You need to watch this. Again, lovely positive crunch as that pops off. Notice the subdial at the 3 o'clock. When we get round to 30 seconds, it'll stop and do something else. But again, beautiful, beautiful movement of that seconds hand as it goes around there. It's not as mental, for example, as the Seiko 100th that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. That thing was just hilarious and massive amounts of fun. This one is much, much more refined, balanced. And again, as you notice your subdial hand there stopping. So then you've got the first one, and then you can have a readjust here. That one pops that one back up to the 60, and then the full one. Brilliant. And look at how it all realigns. Everything realigns absolutely perfectly. And again, I think one of the surprising aspects and one of the details where you can see how well it aligns, if you look at the seconds hand where it's come back up to the top, and you look at that micro dot under the 60 up there, and this that minute hand, seconds hand aligns with it almost perfectly. Now that's pretty damn rare and pretty damned impressive to see. As I say, I'm banging on about it because we see so many watches where it doesn't even come close, and on this it is absolutely spot on. So they've, brilliant. Okay, moving on. The loom. The loom looks very decent. I like the color of the blue. It pops very, very well. Although on closer inspection, it looks like the loom on this particular watch, on the 12 o'clock marker, it looks like it's been a little unevenly applied. Again, this is a loan watch to the channel, so hopefully if you get a brand new one from the store, make sure that they look at that and make sure that they just check that it is as perfect as you want it to be. The bracelet as well, another point, it's slinky smooth, possibly a little bit too shiny for my tastes. I'm more into the all brushed versions, but you can see the polishing is done very, very well indeed, very well finished, ultra smooth. And an example of that finishing is the inside there. It's something that I think we watch nerds often don't look at enough in videos, because you can just see how smooth and well designed that is. Really, really, really well done. Sadly, those annoying butterfly deployment nonsense things have found their way onto this watch. I find them very fiddly when trying to put the watch on. Yeah, they hold it in place successfully, and it goes with that narrow bracelet, etc. But to say, personally, I find them really quite fiddly, and as a consequence as well, I find them a bit difficult to get full sized. They did, on this particular version, they did offer, where's it gone? It comes with this leather strap. Now this is a little bit odd. So leather NATO. 1 second. It doesn't smell very leathery. It smells more like the dye that they've used to color it. And again, I guess that there's the heritage aspect to this, but I'm not sure it works that well on wrist. 1 second, I'm just going to pop the steel off and pop this one back on. A bit difficult to do with these gloves. All right, okay, and so here's our watch on that leather. It looks really, really smart, as I say, because the black of the leather matches perfectly with that dial, and it dresses it down really, really nicely. Downside for me is that I think the leather is a little bit thin, and I would say it warrants the weight of the watch head warrants something a little bit thicker. I think on the previous versions they did a two-piece on these, and that came with that slight checker leather. I think that's the one that I would go for. I'm trying to remember from the photos of the guy who wore this originally, whether he actually had it on a NATO-y type strap, and that's why they've gone with this particular one. Again, if you can correct me or inform me on that one, I would really appreciate it. Other thing to note, of course, is that they come very conveniently with double pull quick releases on there, so it's a breeze to swap these out. Let me just pop that one off there as well, because I forgot to show you obviously the case back. You get that lovely detailing on there, big tuning fork up the top. As I say, huge amounts of polishes on these. Again, personally, I kind of prefer mine a little bit more matte because they tend to be less fingerprint magnets. But that to me doesn't detract from how damn good looking this watch is. I don't think I was expecting to be as impressed by this watch as I am. I thought that they were a little bit hyped, and as I say, that's one of the reasons why I stayed away from it. But here in hand and on wrist, you can really see why so many people like these and why they're still so very popular. No, they aren't perfect, and I do wish that they were a tad cheaper. But as I say, where it wins, it's super clear, super legible. It's so crisp. It's very, very well finished. It wears very well, and I think it carries a backstory and an accuracy level that's going to keep you smiling for ages. That in-house movement that they've got in there, yes, it's a quartz for the haters, but I mean, it's going to provide levels of accuracy that many other watches are going to struggle to keep up with. But anyway, over to you guys. What do you reckon? As I say, been around for a while. You're probably very aware of them, but I'd still love to hear your thoughts on it. Massive thank you again to First Class Watches for the loan of this one. I'm so tempted to buy one for myself now, hoping for those Christmas sales. Anyway, guys, thanks as always for your time and for your view, and we'll catch you all in the next vid. Cheers now.